Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is how to make governments accountable. Now, this thought came into my head a couple of weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it and talking about it to people ever since. And I think this could work. Now, the reason I'm like, how can we make them accountable? Is twofold. One, I think MPs and MSPs in Scotland, where I live, are grossly overpaid for the quality that we get off some of them. And the governments, when they form a government, are completely useless at what they do. And let me explain to you why. They came chapping their doors. In fact, they didn't. I have never had a politician chap my door and ask me to vote for them in my whole life. And I've voted in quite a lot of things, right? But anyway, they put leaflets through our door, they went on TV, they went campaigning, and they tell us, this is what we're going to do for you. And they put their manifesto to the public to vote on. That's how the elections work. And they don't carry out what they say. It's very, very simple. And I think there's no accountability in the public sector as a whole, but even more so the higher up the ladder you go. Nobody checks you. Nobody gives you key performance indicators. Nobody gives you monthly reviews. You get given a job on the strength of a manifesto that you didn't write, and the colour of yours is it. And you off you pop, you go to Holyrood and get 72 grand a year, or you get down to Westminster and get 92 grand a year, and you can do nothing for 5 years. But that's another topic, the actual individuals and how we can make them more accountable. But actually, it's the governments that are doing my head in most of all. And because up here we have a Scottish government, well, to be fair, the Scottish government just come up and say, we'll get independence. They don't tell us how they're going to do it or what it's going to look like. But that kind of goes in their manifesto when the SNP, who have controlled up here for the last 18 years, that's what they do. And they just fill it with other stuff that they just never do. And then blame Westminster. That's the game they play. But, your Tories and your Labour down in Westminster are no different, really. And they come in and they muck about and they don't. When you tell me something, anything that Labour's done that they said they were going to do in their manifesto, the only thing I can kind of remember that was one of the key features of their manifesto was smash the immigrant transporting gangs. It's not happened. We've had one guy arrested, and he was the guy that sold them the boats. And there's been more came through since Labour came into power than there was before. So that was just a lie, right? It's just like, we'll do that, no you won't. And people vote or not on the basis of stuff that they do. So I'm thinking, how do we sort this? All through my working life, that's not true. I did work in the civil service for a short while when I was young, and I just left education, and I hated it, right? And it was horrible, and it was just, I could see as a young kid the wastage that was going on and the lack of accountability. You could do anything you want, they couldn't sack you, right? And then I went into the private sector, and I used to get reviews and things like that and targets and all this stuff I had to be accountable for as an employee. And that was good, and if I'd done well, I get promoted and paid more, and if I'd done shite, I get a wee pull in and told, look, this isn't very good. So that's kind of what people in the private sector get. But in the public sector, nothing. So I've all been thinking, how do we make these people more accountable? And what I've come up with for governments is really, really simple. And I can't see any negative in it, which is probably why they won't implement it. But can you imagine if we had a mid-term check on a government? Now, you need to put a caveat in there that it was either a coalition government or the majority party, by the way, the biggest party in that coalition, or someone in a majority government. And what you would do is, at the halfway point of the 5 years, you would ask every party to submit, pick a number, I don't care what the number is, 10, 20, 12, key points in their manifesto that they've went to the public and said, vote for me. And then you put another figure in, for example, 75%. And you say to them, if you're not at 75% of what you promised the British public you would do before you came in, when we're halfway through your term, immediate election. Let's just call an election. And it wouldn't be difficult. So, you know, we get some people far more intelligent than me, sit around a table, think of a number of the amount of manifesto points that are fair. Might be 5, I don't know, could be 20. And then a figure that you think, and you don't make it 50%, because you would kind of think you should be getting most of them part through in the first bit, right? The first half. So, you know, make it 60, make it, I don't care. And it actually doesn't matter what you make the figure. And I'll tell you why. Because you would never have a midterm election. Because if we had that sort of legislation in place, there's not a single government would take a, being the biggest partner in a coalition or a majority government, and not get through at least whatever the figure was. Now, you might not agree with the policies because you voted for somebody else, but at least they would be doing what they've told us they're going to do before they go in. Because all I've kind of seen my adult life is governments go in and they do it, apart from Labour, they're trying to do it in reverse. They're doing the middle bit at the front. They kind of normally get in the front, but you get a burst of stuff that, you know, they want to throw out and get going. Look, I mean, Trump's already telling you what he's going to do in the first 24 hours of getting the keys of the White House again, right? Ours don't. Certainly Labour don't. And then what you get is you get another wee burst on the PR smiley ometer at the end of a term when they want your votes again. But the bit in the middle is generally nonsense, right? Well, as I say, if you had this midterm review, which could potentially lead to an election if you've not hit the number promised, we'd never have a midterm election. Believe me, they would get right into it, right on it, and get what they told us they were going to do when we vote on them. So that's what I'm saying. It's just one idea. And I've got another mad idea. That's for another video of what we do with the politicians and how we make them accountable the exact same way. But I'll talk about that another day. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. But most importantly of all, unless you're a government that goes in and does bugger all what you said you were going to promise you were going to do before we gave you your votes, no you, but
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.